Looking forward to getting a lot done today. As you can see, I'm in a different location now. If you want to look around, or if I'm with the uh, Stephen Oliver's Martial Arts Seminars here with Brett Marketing. So we're going to work on those a little bit later, but I'm pausing today and doing the podcast with you guys and the webinar with you guys today on boosting your marketing. So our goals today are going to be to get everybody at least a 50% increase from what we're doing today. Now, each of these webinars, again, I've mentioned this at the beginning of them, is that each different component that we're talking about and each different component that we do is to get at least a 50% increase from this one topic in the next 12 months. So if you add this up, 50% from this, 50% from the last one that we did, which was on organic marketing, 50%, actually the last one was from how to rate your website and how to get, how to determine whether your website has a good organic rank. There's been webinars we've done on pretty much everything from organic marketing to paid marketing, how to make sure AdWords marketing is correct, how to do Facebook correctly, and a lot of other things. We're going to cover a different topic today, of course. And each one of these is designed to get you at least a 50% income increase in your results, whether that's income or leads or the particular things that we're going to talk about, and really understand how it fits in with the big picture of marketing online and sometimes offline. We're going to talk a little bit about offline today, and that's the key element we're going to look at. So the big picture, we want to make sure that you have a great website. That's what a lot of times we start with. And web marketing isn't just about building your website. We do that. We do great website platforms and marketing platforms for you. But a lot of times people get confused about what we do because we do so many of those for people. That's not all we do, but a lot of times if you don't have your website built properly, the other things that you build on top of that, whether that's the other marketing you do online or offline, or even downstream, your sales and other processes that we'll talk about today, if your website is faulty, then all the other work you do might go to waste, because when they look you up online, they try to find you, they might find a different business. They might find a different competing business instead of you. So we don't want that to happen. That's why a lot of the time start with your website. So that's really step one. And then there's a lot more that you need to do. And that's what we're going to cover at these Boost Your Marketing webinars. And we covered in some previous ones. So make sure you look at, if you're looking at the replay of this, instead of looking at it live like we're doing now, make sure you look at some of the prior ones to look at some of these other pieces. I want to emphasize kind of down the line what you should be focusing on. Website, then search engine marketing, and then down the line, some of these other pieces. Now, author and influencer is one we're going to be talking about a little bit today, because that's what is going to be the upcoming seminar and workshop that we're going to work on and do this month. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and that's going to be our key point and how this makes a big difference for you. So how does this matter being an influencer? And it's kind of the top part of the list. So first thing, being an author or being an influencer. So what does an influencer mean? So you guys inherently know what an influencer would be, whether it's an influencer in the world that you live in. Meaning if you're if you work in the world of finance, the influencers in that world would be Warren Buffett. Or if you work in the world of computers, the influencers of the world there would be, used to be Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. Those would be the older influencers, but now they'd be different influencers. If you work in the world of marketing, some of those marketing gurus would be Dan Kennedy or Russell Brunson. There's tons and tons and tons of those in the marketing space. So influencers, marketing, an influencer in marketing. So there's lots of influencers, but in your niche, what you need to make sure you are is an influencer in the space that you that you reside in. And for most of us as small business owners, we can be influencers in our community. So in almost all cases for the clients that we work with, it's not hard to be an influencer in your circle of the world that you want to work with. Let me give you a couple examples. A PhD, that's a pretty prestigious credential, or an MD. About 0.1% of the population has a PhD or MD or a doctorate at some level. That's about 1 in 1,000. An influencer would be somebody that's going to be in a little higher level of that. About 0.02% would be somebody, let's say, that wrote a book. That's what we're going to talk about today, is how to be an influencer writing a book. There's other ways to be influencers, and we'll talk about those. Another way would be to be a podcaster. Another way would be a celebrity. Another way might be to be a famous athlete. Another way might be to be famous for negative things too. But let's think about these kind of things. Be a podcaster, celebrity. The easiest one right now would be a book. But for a book, let's say about 0.02% of the population has written a book. That's about 1 in, if I'm doing my math right, about, we'll have to figure out the math on this one, about 20,000. Okay, so I think my math's wrong on that. Anyway, it's about 0.02%. So it's about 50 times more rare than somebody that has a PhD. Somebody later can check my math out on this. But the actual number is about 50 times more rare than somebody who has a PhD. So being some sort of pardon me for a second as I reshare my PowerPoint. Being some sort of to be an influencer, you could be, an educated person, so a PhD, MD, or some sort of doctorate. There's other kinds of doctorate. Or you could be a celebrity, like an author, celebrity, athlete, podcaster, anything along this spectrum. What you have to decide is what kind of influencer you have the capability of being. Some of you probably do have this kind of credential. Some of the people that we work with in the medical profession, of course, you have these credentials. Now, here's a little bit of the problem. If you're one of our clients that's in the medical profession, you're a chiropractor, you're a medical, you're a primary care physician, you're somebody that is a lawyer, for example. You have some credentials. The problem is, in your space, everybody has that credential. So it doesn't really count as an influencer. You're an influencer for your clients, of course, but you're not an influencer for, it is a differentiation between the clients. In other words, if I want to choose my primary care physician, how would I choose that? Well, I might choose that because maybe my friend knows you as another primary care physician. Or if I'm going to choose the chiropractor I'm going to go to, I might choose it because my friend goes to that chiropractor, or maybe I choose it because you marketed to me first. So I might pick because of proximity, closeness. I might pick because they were on my insurance, because of another factor, or I might pick because that you happen to be the first one to get to me in the market. Those are not really influencer type things. What I might want to do then is do some of these things. I might want to be the best known chiropractor in town, the best known primary care physician, or I might want to be the best known one because I'm an author and I'm on because I'm an author, I got to be on the news. I got to be on TV. I got to be interviewed by the radio station. I got to be in the newspaper. I might also have a podcast that tells people that, oh, well, this is somebody, it's not just the regular primary care physician. It's not just the regular lawyer. It's not just the regular, let's say I'm a martial arts school owner, that there's lots of other, all the martial arts school owners probably have black belts. They probably are instructors. They probably say all the same things about how good an instructor they are, but they're not any of these other things on the influencer spectrum. So understanding what it means to be an influencer and how you can differentiate yourself is really important. So that's why you need to create some other things other than just saying, yes, you're qualified because maybe you're an investment advisor and you're a certified financial planner, or you're a retirement specialist, or you're this or that. Well, there's lots of other people that they could look up online, or there's lots of other people that might have those qualifications. Even if yours are a little more special, even if you've had more years of experience, other people are going to advertise with those types of things. Being an influencer means you have other pieces that you've created that we'll talk about how to do that. So we'll focus on this one here, being an author. And then this can turn into being podcast, it can turn into being celebrity, it can turn into being public relations. And so how do you do that? All right. So how do you get to be an author? And so quick ways to do this. We can do it for you. That's what the title of this slide is. But so how do you get to be an author? And this doesn't have to be a full book. It can be a white paper. It doesn't mean you have to sit down and there's lots of forms of this. This can be a book. It can be a white paper. Book is usually the best version. This can be an article, and so on. But so what are some of the steps to being an author? So one of the steps we offer a workshop you can do, and you can see one of the links that you'll probably get an email on this, and some links on our page here that you can find out some more information or schedule a time with me. I can talk to you about the workshop. But one way to do this is you start with your topics, and your main thing is figure out what your objective. This is what people usually mess up when they think about being an author. They think, well, okay, I'm going to be an author. What do I have to write about? What's my expertise? How am I going to sell books? Most people that are successful being an author, that want to be an influencer, that have a business objective, don't think at all about what their expertise is or what they may want to write about. What they think first about is what the objective is. And what this means is who you're going to write to, who the people are you going to write to, what the business purpose is. What the business purpose is means, am I doing it for marketing? Or would I like to get, and specifically, would that mean more leads in my that come to my website? Would I want more leads to call me? Would I want more people to walk into my business? Would I want to be able to get to do more public relations? Would I want all of those things? Do I want the business to? Do I want the objective of the book to be? And the who has to do with what type of people do I want to respond to this? So what the business purpose is, and under who would be the demographics of these people. And then what questions and things keep them up at night? What keeps them up at night, and what they are all about? What their, it might be the geographics too. You might be writing the book specifically for people in the New England area, so that the topics might be related to specific things that they may have to worry about, or specific things that they may have to, concerns that they have. If you're a financial planner, maybe they've got specific things that are that are important for them as far as retirement planning or as far as long-term care issues that might be different for them versus somebody who lives in the Southwest. And that might be important, or maybe that's totally unimportant. So you'd have to consider that. So what's the objectives for the book? And if you don't think about the objectives first, the book kind of becomes a random exercise. It becomes very hard to write. So the topics, the objective actually becomes first. This is number one. And I wrote topics there because that's usually what people think of, but the title of the book comes out of the topics and objective. And then it's really easy to write a title. And the title needs to be something compelling. And in the workshop that we do, we'll go through, I think we've got like 6 or 7 pages of titles and some ideas of titles to come up with kind of some crazy, interesting, compelling titles that have just totally different things that you've never thought of. So that way your title is something when you pick up the book, it's not just the guide to long-term good health. Okay, that's interesting. It's probably important. Everybody should have good health, but it's pretty doggone boring. So you're not going to be very interested in having a title. And then the other piece about this is how to market and use. And I say use here because when you're writing a book, it's not just marketing the book so that the people want to get your book or have it in their hands, but it's how to use the book in lots of ways. For example, this might be something that you give out when somebody gets started with you. If you're a medical professional, when they start in their first get to know what their wellness check, when they get started with you, or maybe their first time they have an appointment with you, now they get a copy of your book so that they know you as their doctor for a long term. Maybe you're a financial professional. This might be something that when you teach a seminar, they get a copy of the book at the beginning and it has your information about how they can set an appointment with you so that they can do a follow-up meeting with you. Or it might be something they exchange, they set the follow-up appointment and therefore they get a copy of the book. It might be something that's on your website so that this is a lead magnet so that they can get a copy of the book as part of their process so that you exchange your name, phone, and email for that. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of ways you can use this. And the value of the book is in this use, almost never in the sale of the book. People make millions, literally millions and millions of dollars with their books. I've written 7 books now, and I do make quite a bit from the sale of my books, but it's dwarfed by the value I get from the use of the book in the business objectives that I have, from marketing it, from using it with my clients, from even giving it away to clients so that they have value as a law of reciprocity so that they get a book so that they're comfortable working with me afterwards. Okay, so there's lots and lots of ways to use the book. Okay, so here's some different reasons to make it easy. Hopefully this makes sense. Now, one thing that people get stuck on here at this point, this is how you start. And then a lot of people get stuck with the idea that, well, I'm not a writer. It's very hard for me to sit down. Maybe I can come up with some topics and some objectives and things that I want to, use the book for. I'd like to have a book and I'd like to have this status and I'd like to be able to have this piece that I have for my company, or for my business, but I, can't just stomach the idea of writing a 50-page book or a 100-page book. That just seems crazy, or 300 pages. That's easily taken care of because you can do what's called ghostwriting. And ghostwriting is you take this content and you turn it over to somebody called a ghostwriter. And what they do is they take your book and they write it. And almost everything that we use as a ghostwriter, when they write your book and they work back and forth with you, at the end product, it's completely yours. It's totally your content, your ideas, your topics. It's your heart and soul that's in the book. It's just the writer took those ideas and turned it into something that expressed them. So everybody that we've had that we've worked with, and we've worked with hundreds of people now in publishing their books. And we do that as part of Red Marketing. As I mentioned, we do websites and marketing and help people with consulting on all the stuff they do to grow their business. That's why we do publishing for people, because this is one piece of that. When they see their book, one quote from somebody recently was, it seemed like magic that the book that they got back was exactly as if they had written it. And that's really the reaction that we get from the authors that would be you, that would send their book to ghostwriting. Now, some of our authors write their own book, and then we help them with get them formatting, get them published, and getting all the rest of the pieces done. That part's something that we're specialists in, and getting on Amazon and having done as an ebook and a published book and a print book so that you can order your own copies. But the ghostwriting is a way that probably about 80% of business books that are on Amazon right now, business books or books that are written for business objectives, are ghostwritten. So there's nothing strange about that. It's very easy to do. So we have really top ghostwriters that can help you with that. Okay, so that's a quick summary. That's our Boost Your Marketing today. If you use this is probably more than a 50% increase in your results, in your marketing results, your business results, and your income results. This can lead to better marketing, better seminars, better income per client that you get for everything you do in your business. It really doesn't matter what kind of business. This is absolutely a valuable tool for you to start on right now. Again, we're doing a workshop. We generally do them about every quarter. The next one coming up is going to be in February. So if you're watching this Boost Your Marketing webinar, make sure you get registered for it. If you do it soon, I think we're just about full. We're about 80% full as I record this. So there might be a few spots left for our February one. Get registered for it. And if you have any questions about it, there's going to be a link on the page. You can click on it and we'll help you with it. And you can find out all about it at redmarketing.com as well. Okay, I hope everybody has a great day. Let me give you a couple of reminders here as we finish up. Don't forget that we got to make sure you have great fundamentals for your website. Make sure you come to the next Boost Your Marketing webinar. We do them every third Wednesday of the month. So next month at 3 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Standard Time or 3 p.m. Daylight Time, whichever daylight savings time we're on. And we have them all recorded so you can look at the past ones. I recommend them highly so that you make sure you get everything that you possibly can. And if you watch each one, I promise you're going to get something that'll help you grow your business every single time. We look forward to seeing the next one. And I hope everybody has a great day.